You are feeding a corpse. That bag of fertilizer in your garage cost $24. The average home gardener spends $200 to $400 a year on amendments, fertilizer, conditioners, and the yield stays flat. Same tomatoes, same peppers, same bag needed next spring. The fertilizer is not broken. It is doing its job. The problem is what sits under it. Dead ground. No worms, no fungi, no bacteria. You are pouring nitrogen into a cup with no bottom. A forest never opens a bag. Fallen leaves, dead bark, rain, and more biomass per square foot than any backyard bed. Same sun, same rain, completely different biology. That is the gap. That is the only gap. Today, one sheet of cardboard and a shovel. No products, no shopping list. One method, done once every 4 to 6 weeks, and by the end of the season, the bed runs itself. Worms do not leave by accident. They leave because you trained them to. 4 actions kill the colony. You are probably doing all 4. I was. First, tilling. Every time you turn the soil, you cut the tunnels worms spent months building. A mature worm builds a vertical burrow up to 6 feet deep. You slice it in half with a garden fork in 10 seconds. The cocoons get crushed. The adults flee down or die. Second, bare soil. Exposed dirt in July hits 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 inches down. Worms need between 55 and 70. Above 85, they migrate deep and stop feeding. Above 95, they start dying. A mulched bed stays at 72. Yours is baked clay at 120. Third, synthetic fertilizer. High salt formulas like 10-10-10 draw moisture out of worm tissue by osmosis. A heavy application can drop local worm counts by 40 to 70% in a week. You paid for that. Fourth, surface compost. Throwing a thin layer of finished compost on top and walking away does not feed worms. Worms do not come up to eat. They eat in the dark, under cover, in contact with the soil face. A half-inch sprinkle is decoration. You have been fighting symptoms, weak plants, pale leaves, low yield. The cause is an empty house. Fix the house, the tenants come back on their own. I ran this test on my own beds for 3 seasons. Bed 1 got the full amendment regime, compost, fish emulsion, kelp. Bed 2 got buried cardboard every 6 weeks and nothing else. By year 3, bed 2 was not close. It had doubled the yield and the amendment budget had gone to 0. Now, the material. The single most valuable soil input in your house right now is sitting flat in your recycling bin. Brown corrugated cardboard. The kind your Amazon orders show up in. 70 to 85% cellulose, 15 to 25% lignin. That ratio is almost exactly what decomposing hardwood bark delivers on a forest floor. You are not approximating nature. You are handing worms the same food their ancestors have eaten for 100 million years. Cost, 0. Replacement rate, whatever your household generates, which for most people is 2 to 4 large boxes a week. Compare that to the alternatives. A 2-pound bag of worm castings runs $15 to $30 at the garden center. A pound of live red wigglers, $40 to $60 shipped. An annual fertilizer budget, $200 to $400. You can run this method for free forever. But not every box works. This is where most people get it wrong. Use plain brown corrugated cardboard, the kind with 2 flat outer layers and a wavy fluted inner layer. That fluting is critical. It creates air channels worms navigate through and fungi colonize first. Remove every piece of tape, every staple, every plastic shipping label. Those do not break down. They will be in your soil in 5 years, still whole. Do not use glossy cardboard, the shiny printed stuff like cereal boxes, beer cartons, and most mailers. The coating is usually clay-based or plastic laminated, and the inks are often not soy-based. Do not use waxed cardboard, the kind produce ships in. The wax is paraffin. It will not decompose inside your lifetime. When in doubt, if it shines, skip it. One more note on history. Victorian kitchen gardeners were doing a version of this in the 1870s. They buried leaf mold, straw, and vegetable waste in trenches before planting. They called it trench composting. They had no name for the no-dig movement because it had not been invented yet. The soil did not care. It worked then for the same reason cardboard works now. Dark, damp, dense carbon under the surface feeds the things you cannot see. Here is the method, step by step, no shortcuts, no optional steps. Step 1. Soak the cardboard. Lay a flat sheet in a wheelbarrow or bucket. Fill with water. Let it sit 30 minutes minimum. An hour is better. Dry cardboard repels water for weeks underground. Soaked cardboard starts breaking down within 3 days. This step alone doubles your timeline speed. Step 2. Dig a trench in the bed you want to colonize. Depth, 4 to 6 inches. Not 3, not 8. 4 to 6. At 3 inches, the cardboard dries out from the top and worms abandon it. At 8 inches or more, oxygen drops below what aerobic bacteria need, and decomposition goes anaerobic, which means it turns into black, sulfur-smelling sludge instead of soil. 4 to 6. Mark it on your shovel handle if you need to. Step 3. Lay the soaked cardboard flat at the bottom of the trench. Do not crumple it. Do not fold it into layers. Flat. One piece. If the trench is longer than your cardboard, overlap the next piece 6 to 8 inches. Overlap less, and worms hit a dead zone between pieces. Overlap more, and you waste material. 6 to 8 inches, no more. Step 4. Before you cover it, and this is the step almost every tutorial skips, apply the bioinoculation. Take 1 cup of finished compost, or better, 1 cup of aged manure if you have it. Dump it into 1 gallon of water. Stir once. Let it steep for 1 hour. This is compost tea at its simplest. What you are doing is loading the water with the bacteria and fungal spores that will colonize the cardboard. Pour the gallon evenly over the cardboard in the trench. All of it. You are not watering the soil. You are seeding it. Step 5. Cover with the excavated soil. Pack it down with your boot. Firm, not stomped. You want soil-to-cardboard contact with no big air pockets. Air pockets dry out and stall decomposition. Then water the surface with another gallon of plain water. Done. Walk away. Total time, about 15 minutes per trench after your first try. Total cost, 0. You are not waiting for a delivery. You are not comparing brands. 2 variations worth knowing. If your soil is heavy clay and the trench fills with water after a rain, that is anaerobic conditions waiting to happen. Raise the bed 2 inches and bury the cardboard shallower, 3 to 4 inches instead of 5. If your soil is sandy and drains fast, the opposite problem. Cardboard dries too quickly. Bury on the deeper side of the range, 5 to 6, and water twice in the first week. And one piece of timing. Do this in spring or fall, not July. Summer heat pushes soil temperatures above 85 in the top 6 inches, and worms are already migrating down. You are building a house no one is home to move into. March through May or September through November, that is when the colony responds fastest. Here is what happens next. This is not theory. This is measured. Hours 0 to 24. Bacteria arrive. The compost tea you poured is already colonizing the damp cardboard surface. You cannot see it, but the cardboard is warming by 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit as microbial activity ramps up. Measure it with a compost thermometer if you want proof. The number moves within a day. Days 3 to 5, fungi appear. White threads, called mycelium or hyphae, start weaving through the fluted channels. If you lift a corner of the cardboard at day 5, you will see them. They look like pale webbing. That is not mold to worry about. That is the soil's digestive system coming online. Days 14 to 28, worms arrive. They do not arrive in dozens. They arrive in hundreds if your bed has a base population, and in the low dozens if your bed was close to dead. Either way, they move in. They eat the fungi, the bacteria-softened cardboard, and the partially decomposed fibers. They lay cocoons. Each cocoon is about the size of a grapeseed and contains 2 to 4 baby worms. Incubation, 60 to 90 days depending on soil temperature. Once they hatch, a mature worm can lay another cocoon every 7 to 10 days for the rest of its 2 to 4 year life. Day 56, roughly 8 weeks, if the cardboard is gone. What was a flat brown sheet is now dark humus, loose, crumbly, dark. It feels like wet coffee grounds in your hand. If it still feels papery or stringy, your bed is running cooler than average. Give it 2 more weeks. If it smells sour or sulfur-like, you buried it too deep. Dig it up, lay it higher, restart. That is the timeline. No guesswork. No waiting for a magic moment. 8 weeks from burial to biology. 1 trench is a start. A permanent colony is the goal. The difference is what you do in week 6. After you bury cardboard, lay 2 to 4 inches of mulch on the surface directly above. Straw, shredded leaves, wood chips, anything dry and carbon-heavy. The mulch does 3 things. It holds moisture in the top 4 inches of soil, which is where worms feed at night. It blocks UV, which sterilizes the upper layer in summer. And it keeps the surface temperature between 55 and 75 degrees, worm temperature, for 6 to 8 months a year instead of 6 to 8 weeks. Worms migrate up at night to feed at the mulch soil boundary, then back down by morning. This vertical traffic is how soil gets mixed, aerated, and fertilized without you lifting a tool. 1 earthworm moves through up to 36 tons of soil per acre per year. You do not need a rototiller. You need tenants. Then repeat. Every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season, bury another piece of cardboard in a different spot in the bed. Not the same trench. A new one, 6 to 12 inches over. By the end of a single season, say May through October, a 4x8 bed will have 7 to 10 cardboard trenches running through it at different stages of decomposition. Some are already humus, some are halfway there, some are fresh. The entire bed is networked. Decide for yourself how aggressive to go. 1 trench a month is enough for most home beds. 2 a month turns the bed over faster. More than that is overkill. Worms can only work so fast. This is the difference between a temporary attraction and a permanent colony. A heavy rain brings worms to the surface for 1 afternoon. A permanent system keeps them in your bed year-round, breeding, working, compounding. The math is simple. 1 adult worm breeding every 10 days for 2 years produces somewhere between 70 and 200 offspring in its life. Give them a house. They pay the rent forever. How do you know the colony is alive and compounding? Pick a morning in week 4 after your 3rd trench. Pull back the mulch in one spot. Dig 3 inches down with your hand, not a tool. Count what you see in a handful of soil. Under 5 worms, your bed is still waking up. Keep burying. 5 to 15, the colony is establishing. Over 15, you are done with amendments forever. You have a working soil. And check the castings. Worm castings look like small coffee-colored pellets, about the size of poppy seeds, scattered through the top 2 inches. See them, and the system is already producing. They are worth about $20 a pound if you bought them in a bag. You are making them, in place, for nothing. 4 mistakes kill the colony before it starts, even when the method is right. Mistake 1. Burying too deep. Anything past 6 inches drops oxygen below aerobic thresholds, and the cardboard rots anaerobically. You get black sulfur sludge instead of humus. The cardboard is wasted, and the surrounding soil is damaged for weeks. 4 to 6 inches, not a suggestion. Mistake 2. Oil, salt, and cooked food in your scraps. If you are supplementing the cardboard with kitchen scraps, which is fine, keep it to raw vegetable matter, coffee grounds, and eggshells. No oil, no salted anything, no meat, no dairy. Salt dehydrates worm tissue on contact, and oil coats their skin. Worms breathe through their skin, and any coating suffocates them. A handful of salty pasta scraps can clear a 2-foot radius for months. Mistake 3. Letting the bed dry out. If surface moisture drops below 30% for more than 5 days, worms migrate down or die. Summer mulch is not optional. It is the roof of the house. No roof, no tenants. Water weekly in dry stretches. Check by sticking a finger 2 inches into the mulch. If dry, soak it. Mistake 4. Tilling after you start. Every time you turn the bed with a fork or tiller, you destroy the cocoons that took 60 days to incubate. You are burning your own work. The whole point of this method is to stop turning the soil. Let the worms do it. They are better at it, and they do not charge. And here is the bigger frame. Compost improves the chemistry of soil. You add nutrients. The pH stabilizes. The nitrogen gets locked in organic forms. That is real. Worms do something different. Worms improve the structure and biology, tunnels for root penetration, castings with plant-available minerals, bacterial populations that fix nitrogen without a bag. You need both. But if you can only afford one, pick the one that is free and self-replicating. That is not a hard choice. So, the audit. How much did you spend last year on soil? Add it up. Fertilizer, amendments, compost you bought in bags, worm castings, the $20 tub of mycorrhizae you forgot about on the shelf, the bottle of liquid seaweed, the trace mineral mix. What did it total? 50? 200? 400? Write it down. Now, walk out to your most used bed. Pull back the mulch. Dig 3 inches down and pull out a handful of soil. How many worms are in it? If you can count them on one hand, you are paying rent on an empty building. If you cannot find any, you are funding a corpse. One more question. Where is the cardboard from your last 3 deliveries? In the recycling bin or in the ground? 3 numbers: your spend, your worm count, your buried cardboard count. The ratio of those 3 tells you exactly where your soil is and exactly where your budget is going. The math either works or it doesn't. Decide for yourself what that ratio should look like next season. The forest doesn't care what you spend.